Good morning, ladies and gents, and welcome into the Saturday edition. I get a chance to do a little weekend rumpus, if you will, from a verbal perspective, and we get to go on a little bit here on another episode of A Different View. Today's topic is going to get into power to the people. I'm going to say it that way. Power to the players. So there's an article that came across. I think I may have posted up on my page. I might not have on Facebook. And I'm all over the place, guys and gals. For those who listen to this podcast, it's getting some recognition, for which I thank you. One, it took a lot of boldness for me to do this. I know there's a lot on my heart to speak about. Still is, as we travel here toward Christmas. And we've just passed Pearl Harbor Day. And again, shout out to the military folks. You know, raise a glass one time, salute one time, your best salute, mind you. You know, some military people get ticked off how you salute them, and that's understandable. Because they are the meat in the sandwich. There's always everything in any entity, just real quick, where everybody is always, there's the food that is eaten, and there's the stuff that makes the food that's eaten. What do I mean by that? You know, you're not getting no beef without a cow, right? We're not getting no Angus without so we're not them chicken wings and them chicken legs and them thighs. For folks out there who like, because I see on my podcast we got older people who listen here, so for those who like, well, them who like them gizzards and the chicken feet and the liver and all that kind of stuff. And mind you, a lot of this stuff. See, I like to go back to the origin of a lot of this stuff. Because again, all things are spinning off of where it came from. And I understand a lot of folks like to disassociate. That's why a TV show Moon Knight is really cool, because people make fun of mental health, but Lord, how in need we all are of mental health repair, man. You would disassociate from something that you know started in a very horrible spot, and yet here we are. Like, man, I love me some. And you hear there's something you get around to certain conversations and weird things pop up. You know, George Carlin back in the day. And for those who have never listened to, I encourage, for those out there who are free thinkers, people who just, the status quo is a thing, but just can we go a little, like, because we know there's more, can we just go a little further? Like, it's great everybody's telling everybody, wake up at this time and go to bed at that one and do this then and blah, blah, blah. But again, life is big, man. Life is really big. And unfortunately, they dummy it down for you. We're going to get into a couple of topics here about it that you got to watch out for, or else you're going to fall into that same colorless. We see it illustrated in movies a lot. Just a very colorless kind of thing. I think there's been some time that has passed since November 22nd here, so we're gonna get into a little bit of a spoiler. So again, it's got a spoiler to it, and that's this movie Wish, because Lord, I have to address something with it. I gotta address something with it. I got my computer here, folks. My ever reliable computer here. There's certain things we're going to do as we go forward, because again, this is about progression. Talking to a couple of my buddies, or one buddy of mine yesterday about the topic of progression and about the Creator. Again, of course, tomorrow Sunday message. I'm going to drop little tidbits here. This is just to give perspective. I want people to know out there, and this is not downing the power of belief, but I want folks to know out there that are under the sound of my voice, there is one. There's at least one person that's not giving into the same status quo. See, guys, when you go back into Thanksgiving and you look at the Puritans, you look at the Pilgrims, you look at the Church of England, Go all the way back in the game and do serious study. And some people have who are listening to my podcast. People have done some very serious study on it. I ended the last one. I was going in there talking about apologetics. People, if you truly do believe in something, study the other religions so you can see what's going on with what you believe. You've been told to do it. God is telling you to do it. Study. When that word study is there in the verse, since I got my old trusty computer here, folks. let's just go in a little bit. Let's go in because it is very, very necessary to understand what life's really about. What life is really, really, not the stuff they're telling you, but what life is really about. So, oh boy, let's get it in. Like I said, I wasn't going to do. Oh boy, but we will do. Let's just see here. All right, so we'll pick up from like the yeah, we'll do it this way. So, of these things, put them in remembrance. This is Second Timothy. I like doing this because it helps people go along. 2 Timothy 2. So like I told y'all a while ago, yeah, I grew up in the church house, lot of stuff here. However, over time I realized the verses people have been looking at have been incomplete. We will say it that way. To be fair, it's been incomplete. So it's okay for you to tell me how to obey my master. It's okay for you to tell me how I'm supposed to be as a male, how I'm supposed to be head of the household. Okay. We're going to get into that topic because it's time to put certain things aside. We've been looking at it the wrong way. I'm going to drop this little bomb right here. Folks are not a possession. I've already said that before, but again, repetition is necessary for learning, right? People are not possessions. They belong to that which they came from, and the last I checked, that was the ground. They are people of the planet and the Creator. We share experiences with those people. That comes with a certain set of situations and circumstances. I'll say it that way. That how we do things can give some insight or not. So we don't own nobody, right? We realize we watched slavery here and clearly how horrible it failed. You don't profit and love and money and profit. You don't do that by owning folks. Okay. So just scratch that one off. I understand. You got some folks trying to bring it back and how they're messing with voting rights and how they mess with affirmative action and how I understand. Okay. But if you do not pay attention to history, you are doomed to repeat it. This is for anybody who's ever captured anybody, right? And then over time, it could be 100 years, whatever it is, you wind up losing them, right? Again. It's nice try, and you might as well. I mean, for those who listen on here, again, we got different views, right? You want to try, go for it. But again, I think the great God above, using the tool of humanity and the pen and handwriting and some in your eyes and what you're seeing and what you're comprehending, yeah, it doesn't work well. So of these things, put them in remembrance. Charging is old school English, and again, we've talked about paying attention to words and phrases. So charging them, telling them it's of serious importance, before the Lord, that they strive not about words to no profit. Man, the Bible is so wow. Sometimes when I read it hits me. So strive not to speak words that have no profit. You see what I'm saying? Now, this is before the Lord, right? So God has something to do with the fact that everything you do should give you profit, down to what you say. How about that, folks? How about that? Now, again, these types of things are repeated over and over in the Bible. You got the story with Jesus talking to people. I believe his disciples were there also. Gives the story about the folks with multiple talents. And I think I've talked about it on this podcast. You got multiple talents. And what do you do? What does the dude with the one do? Again, it's dudes, it's men, but we understand, right? So sexism is abounding, right? Jesus is also talking to, and that's part of the translation part, but Jesus is also talking to people, folk movers and shakers, because it's referencing people there, right? That's everybody. You got one talent, you don't go bury that thing, man. The Bible talks about how those who have that light lit, and we're going to get into that with this movie Wish. Because I'm done. You want to attack a movie because of the fact that it's poorly made. It doesn't keep up to a certain story like certain sequels, aka the Disney trilogy of the Star Wars saga, the Skywalker saga, where it's not really even trying to hold to the storyline and stuff like that. But when you have a single standalone movie, regardless of Disney's 100th year and whatever people see, because again, what happens a lot of times with these movies, right? Because you can go and you can do, I was doing this little thing here on my computer here, computers about just the same at this point, but there's one smaller than the other. At the end of the day, shows you the further the technology. So when people say we've come real far, at the end of the day, what it is just a person. I'm not going to just say woman, because it's a man or a woman. We'll just use this concept because this is how people think, right? A lot of these things is in how people think. Reviews are given on movies based on how people think. Folks have a problem with what they call quote unquote woke, which again, you need to wake up to the fact that they are using your gender to screw you. That again, you won't call that quote unquote woke politics, which is just horrible terminology manipulation. But you want to say it that way and give into, again, you got to buy into a certain thought process. You want to buy into that, so be it. Yet the fact remains, they use your gender. They use whether you're male or female to bind you and stop you from profiting. Now, again, you've got that. Now, this is why I say when you introduce Christianity into this, when you introduce belief, when you introduce the Bible into holy books, when you start doing that, it gets the hypocrisy gets worse. Because right now I'm being told that the words I say are supposed to give me profit, right? Charge them before the Lord that they strive not about words to no profit. Flip it. You are supposed to speak to things that give you profit. That's what those words mean. Strive not, fight not, don't contend. That's what the word strife is dealing with. About words. Okay, now let's just go further with this. Words coming out the mouth, coming from thoughts. So now we're talking about your thoughts. Now you have to renew this thing. And this is where you get a lot of the problem. Folks want to stay stuck in the status quo. And then you got those that they call free thinkers who don't. Because again, this is what I was talking about, my buddy. God is both progressing and constant. I understand for those who are Christian, that's going to flip them out and it's cool. But guess what? All of creation was moving toward one endpoint, and it is still constant till this day, right? What I hear y'all's brain snapping. But it's good though. See, we're talking about learning. 7 days, something different happened every day. Every day something different was happening. Sorry, that's my computer talking to me there. Every day something new was happening. And yet It is the basis of what you said. This is what people believe today. Constant. All these. Now, again, some people think thousands. I'm going to say millions. So just looking at an article online, somebody found another fossil of a T-Rex. We'll just leave it alone. We'll just leave it alone for folks, man. I don't know. I don't know how else to say it to people. You know, again, the great creator is not doing something this magnificent in 4 seconds. I understand time, and God sits on time, and it don't mean a thing to him. So something this intricate could, but again, you're dealing in this natural reality. And the truth is, while you got miracles involved, and while God does move at also a high pace, God can also operate in the slow pace because God sits on time, folks. God sits on time. Man, so you could think it's fast. It's not. 1,000, again, going into the New Testament, 1,000 days. It's like, well, how does it go? 1,000 days is a year, or a year is 1,000 days, something to that effect. The idea, you can look it up. Just look up verse about 1,000 days. Just search it right while you're talking to me. While I'm talking to y'all, y'all are probably talking back to me in the car in agreement or not. But it's just like strive not. Don't allow what you say and also what you do, because thoughts that produce words also produce actions. The stuff you do is supposed to give you profit, supposed to profit everybody. Because again, if you profit and you're inside society, guess who else profits from your profit? Society does. This is why it's silly why people keep trying to. There's another movie that's out there on the same type of thing. It's more realistic, and of course war and fighting is involved. Guess what? That's what comes about when you don't share, folks. The fighting and the violence is coming. So before we get on our high horse about what one other group is doing, you got to realize, take two to party. It take two to party. And sometimes that thing ain't always as good and evil as we think it is. Again, y'all heard me reference in one of my episodes the story about Solomon with the 2 women and the baby complaining about which one's baby is which. So what did Solomon come do? Hey, let's go cut that baby in half, then y'all be okay. Because again, we're talking about balance here. So each one of y'all had a baby. Wouldn't be any good though to you because the baby would be dead. And guess what happened? The one who had the true compassion stood up and said, hey, no, let's not do that. That woman can have that baby. Why? Because life is more important than the possessions you gain. And this is what I'm talking about, possessions. That breaks down to parents and kids. Real deep, folks. Nothing I'm doing is going to be shallow. I'll let you know that. It's either going to be about 4 feet in the pool or it's going to be 12. We don't. I try to bring some levity to it and all that kind of thing. But again, life's too short for this. That's we have gone too far with it now, folks. So no profit. But to the subverting of the hearers. Now I like doing this. I told y'all, right? In the scene. See again, we like to explain a thing. So I'm going to try to see here if we can just do it this way. We will just do it this way. Subvert. What in the world does the word subvert mean? To undermine the power or authority of. I don't need to get into etymology of none of that. I think it's kind of simple. It's kind of simple at this point. Oh man! So now check it. Now man, the Bible is cool with it, man. See again, the stuff people been telling you it's incomplete. It's incomplete. Again, the reason they were able to make a slave Bible, the reason they were able to manipulate the Holy Scriptures and make a slave Bible by removing the words and the verses that would have encouraged the slaves to revolt against their unholy slave master. You talk about a piece of what they call black history, and one that hits to the core when it comes to Christianity. And again, because we're all talking Abrahamic religions, it also hits to the core of Islamic religion, and it also, or belief, and it also hits to the core of Judaism or Judaistic belief, Semitic belief. You're not supposed to be supplanting the hearer. Again, subvert, right? Again, when you find these definitions, introduce that definition into the word instead of the word itself. You're not supposed to undermine the power or authority of the hearer. That's what I mean to do on this podcast, whether popular or not, because that's not what we're after. Again, repetition is necessary for learning. You got to understand the people of which you're listening to. It's time for those who are the repairers of the breach, if you will, to stand up and be counted for. This is how balance is made. This is how it's made. Regardless of the cost, regardless of what happens, this is what's needed. The hearer is supposed to know. People are supposed to know. So now in modern days, see, again, we're talking this whole thing when you start putting Christianity into this. When you see people telling you, hey, no, you don't need to know about that history. You don't need to know about that over there. No, why are you looking at that? That's just going down a rabbit hole. Nope. What that is the great adversary. See, we talk about the creator, but again, as is above, so is beneath. If you've got the great creator and life giver here and the architect of this thing, what else would be the opposite? The person, the entity that would come, the deity, if you, however you want to break it down in your mind, that which would come to steal, kill, and destroy. I'll say it that way. Wherever you see something given life and life more abundantly, there will be something to rob, kill, steal, and destroy. Now, again, with freedom that you are given, there are responsibilities. This is why I say, for people who kind of bug out at this thought process, you're not just living life down here in any old mamby-pamby way. It's a nice idea and thought, but it's not going down like that. God is not letting it go that way because of how wicked people are, how twisted they are. All of us. Then after that verse, you get hit with the one that I keep saying all the time, folks. Study to shew. Gotta love the old language, man. Gotta love some respect to it. And again, that's why I said go learn other languages. We should encourage each other to learn other languages. We really should. Speaking in the language of the good old king and queen of England is worn out a little bit. I mean, it's nice. See, it's another thing. Let's just put it on the table, folks, because we're just talking. We're just talking. All of the immigrants that come in this country. Now, mind you, this is people who forget that they great griggity greats, as I like to say, came to these lands at the expense of someone's else's, and took their land. Do you know what else came with that? The robbing of the language. Do you know what else came with that? Everybody was talking a different language. Do you know everybody had to learn all these different languages? Now, of course, everybody banded together, so the Italians were still talking to. This is how the bonds occur. The camaraderies occur between the people, which is why when you look at certain cities that were created, say like New York City, where you got certain sections, that's where you get your little Italy or Hungary or Russia, Asia. This is where this comes from, as they migrated there. All the different cities in the United States. This is how this happens. It's normal. This is why I'm saying when you talk about that segregation thing, you're on the right path. They just did it the wrong way. The South did it the wrong way. Again, you don't do it on the backs of other people. You allow people to profit, so they help you profit. But you don't forcefully do it to them. See what I'm saying? We're going to get into that topic here with the NCAA in a minute, because we're talking about how you make a stand for yourself. Because this is where we got into this point, folks. However you want to look at it, this is where we got into this point. But we're just gonna put it on the table, and it is what it is from there. Study to show thyself approved unto God. Now, that's not to say God does not approve you, because you go throughout the rest of the Bible, there's a whole lot where God's giving credit to us as God's creation. However, it's the opposite way around. Like in Romans, where it talks about something that is your reasonable service. This is the base. This is the studying life, folks, is the base, man. You don't notice anything that tells you anything there what to study per se, other than things that have to do with something that profits you. Because we're talking about biblical context, it all flows together. It does. For people, see, again, you're looking at the part that's throwing you off, and unfortunately, that's come from people messing with scripture, as we clearly see from history. We are talking about the part that is connected. Central theme, which deals with man's redemption, human's redemption, and coming back to some level of balance that was originally created. That's the central theme of the game, folks. That's what it is. Humans, we threw it out of balance. This idea where children do not pay the price for their... we're just going to hit topic to topic here, so let's rapid fire. This idea that the kids don't pay the price for the parents, folks, the kids are paying the price for the parents is indecisions or decisions, improprieties, whatever word you want to use. You pay the price for what they did or didn't do. That's life, folks. That's got nothing to do with a bias. That's got nothing to do with we don't like in the movie Wish that they're talking about the energy is coming from within you. Guys, you manipulate that gift which you are given. Hello? That's why when they talk about witchcraft, you really truly don't know what you're saying. Because when you look at the definition of the word, it's dealing with the... You know what? Here we are, right? I told y'all we got. Oh boy, folks. Oh boy. So, witchcraft, right? It's a big old bugaboo. Everybody, and again, right? Because folks are just gonna go for what they want to go for. This is the other side of it. But however, talking about the other side here. Here we go. The practice of magic. I may have done this in another episode, but we're gonna. I think I did it in the Halloween one. But we'll especially now again. You always got to put this in here. See, because now again, this is coming from Oxford and all that kind of thing. Always got to put this evil, negative in there. Can't never talk about anything good. It's always got to be in the negative, because this is how people look at things. See, again, how you look at something is going to change how you look at the definitions of words and phrases. That doesn't mean the definition has changed. It means how you look at it. So I'm not even talking about for the use of spells part, because I know some of y'all are looking along here, and we're just going to leave it there, right? So the practice of magic. Let's see. See again, and they talk about pagan tradition here. It's another thing. Religious practice, and we're talking belief, right? So whenever you see that word religion, switch it. Religion just means an organized structure around what you believe. I understand other people got different ways of looking at this. We'll say it this way. On this platform, that's what the word religion, again, we're going by the definition of the word. That's what religion means. Okay? It means an organized structure or organization or whatever around what a person believes or their faith. Faith, belief. Belief is found in the words. Same thing, okay? Practice involving magic and affinity with nature. So now, they say, usually with a pagan tradition. Broke down the word pagan a while ago. That just deals with you believing something different than the accepted beliefs in reality. Do you know you got Catholics who have kicked other Catholics out of the church solely because they didn't agree with certain things in the way they did it? Do you realize that falls under the term? Now, again, nobody's looking at it that way because they got the word reserved for something else. But that's what pagan means, folks. It's talking about something that people practice, they believe that is different than the accepted norms. Like the stuff you would see in Mean Girls. Like in the movie Wish, where this girl gets kicked out of the kingdom, out of the king's house, because of the fact that she saw he is upholding justice and truth by not granting people their wishes. Interesting, the dude is called Magnifico. Excuse me. Magnifico. Ain't nothing magnificent about that. You would so in this, and again, this is because people have been held down so long. You come up with some. In my mind right now, I'm thinking of all of those when you got the workers in the field and they come up with them songs and they chant all, you know what I mean? Kind of like the working on the railroad songs or different little chants that you would hear, that you would see maybe on different videos of various social media streams. Yeah, I'll just drop that there too. So much hits my mind. The idea of people you got to be careful with this social media thing, folks. They are using us. Lord, they are using us. You keep sitting there talking about how horrible all this social media is. And when they take away your voice, what else do you have left, man? They want to rechange and take out the stuff that they left in so they could get wealth, so they could get more wealth. And at this point now, it's the same thing coming back to the beginning, which is the removal of anything that would stop them from this is about greed. There is no end to greed, folks. Any obstacle in their way. Any obstacle in their way. You've got the Bible telling you, make sure what you're doing is giving you profit. God is trying to look out for people. That includes those who are evil, that are doing things of evil means. Because you hurt yourself in the end when you're doing evil means. God has already set it up. It's this idea of defending yourself. There's nothing wrong with defending yourself. There's nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with you being peaceful or pacifist. Nothing wrong with you defending yourself or being the opposite of being passive. Pacifist. Nothing wrong with it. You feel that you shouldn't take violent means? That's all right. That is all right. Realize the opposite is also true. You want to defend yourself. Various ways of doing it. You got 2 hands, 2 feet, a head, shoulder. You got a whole lot. That's why when you look at MMA, folks, let me drop it right here. Again, yes, you live by the sword and you die by it. Unfortunately, because people choose not to live in peace with folks, here's where we are. However, because of that fact, again, all things are permissible, but not all things are good. Here is one of them. Learn how to defend yourself. As a community, as a people. This is talking homosexual folks. I bet you what, here we go. You'll have less people whooping on homosexual people if you find out they know how to do MMA, can beat your butt in the street. I bet you that. You won't worry about what switch they got in their hips or none of that. See, again, we're talking. I'm sorry, y'all, but this is where it is. If you're going to attack people who are not hurting you, do not be shocked when they fight back. This is a law put in from the Creator. You are to defend yourself. And this here is where, again, right, we're talking abilities with the ability you've been given. Responsibility with the ability you've been given. You've been given the ability to defend yourself. Irresponsibility now is where you start seeing violence all over the place. That's not what this is about. This ain't. Now, a lot of people act like animals. That's why you shouldn't even joke about, I mean, to each person their own, sitting there joking about animals. Humans act a lot like they act worse than any wildebeest you'll find in an African desert. I tell you, or African plains. I tell you that. Really silly. Just acting really silly. But we've been charged to do whatever is possible to maintain peace. So that's just going back to that. So let's get into let's get into a little bit more of this, right? So again, I just did all that to say we took that little detour there, just talk about studying. Let's see what I have. Yeah, this whole thing with this movie Wish, guys. I mean, again, go see it for yourself. People can critique about the idea of that they mailed it in a little bit where it comes to see again. I think because what happens is that things first came out, nobody had you couldn't say anything because you hadn't seen anything yet, right? You hadn't seen it. No one saw Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs up until the time that Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs came out. So now, oh wow, awesome movie, right? So now, fast forward time, all this, we haven't seen all this stuff. We haven't seen it all, and now it's this idea of see again, if you want to see one thing people don't want, they want a status quo and they don't want to see anything else. It's always been like that. They played into the trope of that with Snow White by having your literally Snow White princess trying to get freedom from some evil witch somewhere. I wonder why it's so. Maybe because it was packaged in a way, and you had your weird little dwarves there that were also, well, heck, just say it. They are also white. They're also light in color. Okay. Everybody running around whistling while you work, and birds and all types of magical stuff going on. Again, that magic is just talking. Let me do it. Let me just do it. Let me just stop to do it. The word magic. The word magic. Boy, oh boy. The power of apparently influencing the course of events by using, now they put in the word mysterious. And of course, Christians have gone along saying this, God moves in mysterious ways. No, what the Bible tells you is that God's thoughts and of course, ways are above yours. Because you're dealing with the supreme being in a realm totally different. Like I said, this is stuff we know very little about. Stuff you can find out about. So you're told that you will understand the voice, and the voice of a stranger you won't follow, right? We're talking biblical stuff that's there. No, you're never going to get to the place where you're not where you are now that you will be. If y'all can understand what I'm saying, we're here now. We don't know what there looks like. We know what here does. And we've been given certain list of things to do from there that apply in here. Right? I understand that's a lot to mentally grasp. But that's what the Bible is dealing with. It's what the Bible's dealing with. Okay? So when you talk on magic, when they say this thing on magic, it's less mysterious than you think it is. It's way less mysterious than you think it is. The back half of it, supernatural forces. That's the back half of that definition. The power of apparently. The people know very little. You know very little about this. Now, again, the imagery we all have is like the latest imagery of this stuff that we all have is this Harry Potter movie series. You got a wand in your hand. We're doing Expecto Patronum and the Leviosa. You got an internet video that's been famous about, of course, we're sexual jokes with it, but still we're making fun of the Leviosa part, and of course Hermione being a Muggle and a half breed, which shout out. I almost stop here to say it because see again. A lot of your half-breeds and high yellow folks you see, you trace their history back. A lot of it's got to do with a slave owner impregnating a black woman, in the white man impregnated forcefully by rape in very many cases. so they can keep producing a slave class to keep making money from them. Just that, sorry, right? At the same time, beautiful people that have been produced from such hell, to say it lightly. And here they are now living life, making a change. Because the truth is, of all of the different differences that they keep kicking at us, the one, and again, all of the garbage that they keep feeding into white people's minds to continue this division to occur. This is why it's time for us to stand up. This is what I mean about the power of the Rainbow Coalition. You got a governing body of people here that want what you've got. And in order to do it, you've got to buy into it any means necessary. It doesn't matter whether they put a bunch of cats in movies for you and get you infatuated on cats so much that you get distracted from seeing something else, whether it's dogs. They will use any and everything necessary. I really don't know how else to say that. And it's nothing to be scared about. It's no different than Bible times. But this is how humanity rolls, right? That's the song. This is how we roll. Oh, this is how we roll. You got to realize, though, that there's two sides to the thing. Which one are you going for? Because, again, at the end of it, one is for your annihilation. One is for your annihilation. The other one is toward your salvation. You profit when you profit, not when they only profit off of you. It's got to be both. And it's in many instances. So we're gonna hop from the magic thing right into this thing from ESPN. The headline reads, "Athletes sue the NCAA Power 5." So I'm gonna just stop here for a second because this is where it gets funky. Especially for those who do not pay attention to sports, and yet there's some things to unlock here. You don't have to know about one basketball dribble, one football, baseball throw pass. You don't have to know none of that stuff. You don't need to know the mascot names on any of the colleges. None of that. The base level of all this is the same principle throughout every organization in the planet, not just the United States. So the Power 5, I'm just going to go back here for a second. There's about 10 or 11 conferences in the Power 5, in college sports, NCAA, right? So they are as follows: the ACC, the Big 10, the Big 12, Pac-12, and the SEC. Southeastern Conference. You know, the Southeast, the part where when white folks took the thing over back in the day, they kicked everybody out so they could take over Florida, Georgia, and everywhere else down there. And they shipped them all into Oklahoma. Yeah, that SEC, those areas. Now, of course, they've kind of played with the alignment of the schools and where the states are over time for money purposes. But it's this. Again, we're talking about money on the table. We're talking about the colleges that are charging these families here. Maybe if some that listen to my podcast. All right, that cause such impropriety, like when you have situations where certain people are paying for their kids to get into school, and it bumps you out of the way because they got more money than you. They had nothing to do with your test scores or none of that. This is a money play here, folks, because, again, this is how they set the game up. You make money by getting these degrees, even if it's at your expense. That cost has to be cut, plain and simple. Now, that's also not to say that ethnic or ethnos issues didn't have a say in this, because it did. That's why it's so horrible that they're going after affirmative action, where it deals in getting into having access to school, college, education. It's dangerous. It's a red flag, if you will, to rob a football term, when you see it happen in society, because it means if they can screw with one area, they can screw with them all. So the article, and so I'm going to read certain little parts of this here. The NCAA added to something you can look right on ESPN.com. It's still there, just of this December 7th here. So it's brand new. It's fresh off. It's hot off the presses, as they say, to rob an old school term there. Shame they don't have newspapers no more. Physical ones. Like a lot of the physicals, everything's becoming digital. I digress. The NCAA added a new legal challenge to its already cumbersome caseload Thursday as a trio of college athletes filed suit against the association and its 5 most powerful conferences, again, where the moneymakers are at, claiming that rules that prohibit schools from paying their athletes violate antitrust law. We've been talking at this for a little bit here, so I'm not gonna. Like I said, I'm gonna leave homework for y'all. You start getting into trust. We're talking about passing down wealth now, folks. So, the ability and the access to wealth. Like I told y'all about opportunity a while ago. Trust. Trusts, as they call it. Funny that they base the word off the word truth. I digress, man. Because there's very little truth when you're dealing with that money. They are funny with the money, as I've heard Snoop Dogg say it recently. This is what I mean about paying attention to certain celebrities and stuff like that. And for every area gets very territorial in there. Pay attention to them all, folks. Like, stop worrying about the fact that Lady Gaga is wearing a meat dress. Who cares, right? Not especially when you're killing animals to make clothes. Well, why do you care about raw meat on you? Of the dirtiest things that people have done. Oh my gosh, it's on camera. We see it. Ah, and I get it. Right? Because it's like, wow, this woman really is doing this. But at the same time, think about it. From this regard, is that really the worst thing that you've ever seen ever in your life? Is it really the worst? Just because those people have money and stuff like that. Did people who don't have money choose to do the same weirdest stuff? You go to Walmart every day, the supermarket. It ain't even got to be Walmart. You can go right into the marketplace and see weird out of the box stuff. You do. Just because it's on display on a camera, don't make it any more weirder. I mean, it's the same. You could be like, hey, I just seen my neighbor doing this a couple of days ago. People have peered inside the windows of the houses in their neighborhoods and seen weirder stuff. Let me say it that way. Or just as weird stuff. So, I mean, some of these things that shock people is shocking. So a couple of these players, Dwayne Carter from Duke, he's a football player. Nia Harrison. And like I said, men and women, I get it. Men but they're using sexism. See, they want men to bash women, right? Because y'all are life givers, right? And specifically with the women, actually the life giver from the standpoint that the birth is the humans coming out the canal, folks. Okay. Okay. They keep the colorful language to a certain level. It's coming from their bodies, huh? Let's go. Can we give a see again that credit where credit is due? Can we give a little bit of credit there? Is that possible? And as a result, because of that, there's some serious importance there. Men and women need to band together. Stop doing this. Oh no, you're the weaker vessel. We got to come off that. Because again, it's shared. The stuff is shared. If you're going all the way back into the Bible and the persons and woman, now again. People take the thing out of context. Lord, they take it out of context. But we're just talking at the base definition of it. If women are help, how in the world you going to get help without letting them help you? You ain't getting no help without letting them help you. Talking to men now specifically. You got to rethink all of this mess that your great-great-great-greats taught you because it was incomplete. Is only part of the story. This idea that people are so special. All have sinned. That means we all and thank God that info is put out there like that because do not think more highly of yourself than you should. Now you know what that takes a lot of the mental. This is some free game before this Valentine's one, man, because it's gonna be good. Oh man, it's gonna be good. Just talking about human relationships and the refreshing. See, we talked about the refreshing of the mind, the renewing of the mind. It's necessary to have these conversations constantly. It's the only way you keep your mind refreshed. You don't refresh your phone January 1st and just go about using it. Now, people do it, don't get me wrong. But we're talking about operating at the optimal. And it's funny because that's what it looks like in society. People are not operating at their optimal. They're coasting along in the status quo. Now, of course, the curve of the coast, if you will, the curve of the wave that they're coasting on is where we're pulling these terminologies from. Of course, coasting, cruise control, where you coast down the road. Coasting, also, you're surfing the wave. You're kind of coasting along on the wave. Again, equivocal language. You can multiple use. See what I mean? So again, at the at the end of the day here, like, men and women got to come together. Anyway, Stanford soccer player Nia Harris, and also from TCU. Funny that a Christian college is involved in this. See, again, that separation of church and state, folks, it's a misnomer. It is a misnomer. The two been bed buddies together for a minute. And that is the challenge from God to the church, is that you giving to Caesar, where's the giving to God at? And the Sunday service and school and Sunday school and the VBS and doing all little things, that's cute. We got to go deeper, though. It's time to go deeper. These senators and stuff you got in your congregation, they ain't about you. They about giving you money so you can be about them. That's got nothing to do with God, though, folks. That's got to do with them supporting their greedy purposes. You know it. We can't keep doing this anymore. You're hurting the people that are coming after us. That's the issue with all this. You talk about innocent lives lost. Folks get on this whole thing with Israel and Palestine. You so concerned with lives lost. It's time to elevate what they call the status quo. This is not dealing with violence. This is not dealing with upheaval. All the words everybody uses. We're talking about making a better place for us all. That's a real thing. So here's the quote from it. Now again, it's a 70-page complaint, so they went deep. Again, like I told y'all, when building communities and building trust between each other and all that kind of thing, like, legalities have to be in play because people are funny with the money. Unfortunately. And any family, any person, anything, you ought to have good legal representation. This is why people need to start buying into each person's struggle, because you need to be able to present that from a legal spot. Guess why? Because someone is going to attack you from that standpoint. Sometimes you got to take a case that's pro bono that will actually give you money on the back end. You might not get none in the beginning. History is full of this. It's happened on all sides. And we got great cases here. We got great cases here that we can pick up. People who have been supplanted in all types of ways. And you can present that before a court of law. Well, that's the basis of this whole thing, man. What? Anyway. So it's basically their attorneys requesting an injunction, or again, you're going to get in some legal words here. Two things also follow: financial terminology, legal terminology, because they all follow in same suit as a lot of this equivocal language. Like I said, y'all have heard me say they made laws from all this stuff they did to seal in the greed of what they did by stealing stuff. Study what they're saying. Study what they are saying. They sit back and look at us. We talk about this big brother thing all the time. Don't you think what the opposite would be for us to start see again? You look at that end of Loki, the end of Loki there. In order to correct the thing, in order to advance life, you have got to re-look back at all of the different failures to know where you're going forward so you can correct them and go forward. So now when you see the little hiccup, nope, don't do that. Switch it, do this. That's what all of this that we see is. Tap into that energy, folks. Wait, nope, the slavery thing was wrong. Wait, you're not going to be able to do it that way. It won't work. Let's not do it that way. That's the only, otherwise you're just beating your head against the wall. So an injunction that would prevent the NCAA from enforcing rules that prohibit pay for play. Basic terminology used in the street for various different means. Pay, you got to pay to play, folks. You got to pay to play. Anybody in the sound of my voice that works at any job anywhere, paying to play. The play is the game of life. That's why it's horrible how they have certain regulations for different groups, and that's why you always fight for workers' rights, folks. That's why you always do it. You never stop doing it. This is an example right here. You never you don't never not for one moment. See this is why that's why I talked about the word complain. You don't ever stop not for one moment for you. This is biblical now. Y'all already heard me read the verse. Pay for play compensation for athletes and seeks damages for past payments the athletes would have received if the current rules were not in place. So you got rules stopping them from getting paid. Hey, we need to put in the get me paid rules, right? The get me paid more rules. Now, in their case, I don't think they had any pay. Maybe if they did, it's low. Some little perk somewhere, which happens in many other places in the world where somebody else is giving someone credit and not getting no money. Or little money or little benefits. No. You maximum profit, high maximum profit. Now you want to tell me there's a certain percentage, how that looks. And again, we can always come back to the table and this is the game, folks. This is the game, man. This is the game. Checks and balances need to be checked and balanced. So here's the statement, and we're gonna stop right there because we've been on it for a minute. And this is I always try to, one of these days I'm gonna get this thing down where it's a little shorter, folks. But again, sometimes you just gotta I'd say it this way: of the 24 hours we got, and then 8 hours you gotta sleep, and the rest of everything's going on. And that's why I say thank y'all for listening in. Anybody really has a podcast, there's the true thanks that goes out to the audience, because it's the audience that gets to see a lot of things in my life. I get to correct a lot of the wrongs that even I go through or have gone through. Where you give thanks to those who help you profit. It's a real thing. Right, wrong, and different, whether y'all agree with me, don't agree with me, you help me profit. Right? You give me views, you give me notoriety. And I understand for those, right? We got these verses in the Bible that people keying on. The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. See again, you got to get to the point. You got to get yourself past certain little things they want you to trip up on. You got to get past certain things they want you to trip up on. The point is to get the voice out of truth on the highest mountain. You can talk about Martin Luther King talking about from the top hills of wherever in Georgia and all that kind of thing. And Martin Luther King Jr. wasn't wrong in what he was saying. It's just a standpoint of you talking about on the highest mountain. See, again, this light, don't hide it under a bushel. Let your light shine. You're talking about this idea here in this movie Wish. It's not about not granting wishes, folks. It's not even the idea of getting caught off on everybody shouldn't have their wishes granted because blah, blah, blah. See, again, like you're getting caught off on the wrong. We're talking about somebody ain't got no control over your wishes. How about that? There, you don't control me. See, we work down here as a team. Control. As soon as control starts, that's where power is involved. And as soon as you start seeing the jockeying for power, that's where greed is. And where greed is present, that's where the whole thing goes sideways, folks. Every time. The idea is, that's why you see stuff in the Bible that talks about study, that talks about the personal responsibility, because you've got to go do it. Having this book is not enough. The words of God are not enough. What am I saying? Because I know that's blowing some people's minds right now. God's words are not enough. to help keep order in this thing. Do you know what is human involvement with the words of God? That's why you have verses in the Bible that can tell you that the traditions of men, again, we know that mean people. Lord knows it's mostly been men, though. I'm not saying women haven't had a hand in this. Okay? It's keeping it all the way funky. However, before we start doing the same mistake Adam and Eve did in the garden, or Adam did to Eve in the garden, blaming Eve, I'm saying people. Because that's how God's looking at it. Everybody. The traditions of people make God's words ineffective. That's why I can say God's words aren't even enough. You've got to join in. You got to buy into this idea of freedom, justice, and proper proportion throughout the planet. Reviewed on a consistent basis, or else this thing is going into chaos, folks. And like you see it now, and worse. So the quote reads, it's time for the NCAA to, and this is kind of a chant really for just anybody in any area of life, in every human relationship, because business relationships are just another relationship. It's time for the NCAA to recognize that the rules prohibiting athletes from sharing in the massive revenues. See, we're not talking about the 4 cents. They want to make you look, they'll even bring out numbers to you, making, oh, see, we didn't really make that much, and blah, blah, blah. Guys, you stay on it till they give you what you need. This is real. Any real thing that's ever happened in life, man, this is how it's gone down. Massive revenues from sharing. In the massive revenues we help to generate are harming all college athletes. You got them in these colleges, especially the big ones. When we're talking about the Power Five, when you're looking at, you got men, wait a minute. Big Ten. So I'm going to roll back a little bit in time here. You had Michigan, Ohio State. Those are 2 big schools just right there. You know, over in like the ACC, you've had like Penn State. We all know about all the controversy in Penn State and stuff like that. But just you've had Notre Dame. We understand when you're dealing with, see again, but that's dealing with a different topic when you're dealing with Catholicism. We're talking, if judgment starts in the house of God, and last I checked, when you're talking about Catholicism, this is always, and this has been a thing in history since how long have we been talking about this, folks? The 1200s? That's just the 1200s. The 11th and 12th century? Now, of course, in the annals of time, it's been going on for a long time. As far as time in a whole, it's just a short block of time. Right? You got the Pac-12 over in Oregon, and you know, although while it be smaller, it's pulling some money, it's pulling some weight. And then, of course, the Southeast. Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama. I mean, you go through the South, right? You talk about that fire and going with the wind burning through Georgia. I'm sorry. When you open up death's doors, what do you think's walking in, man? There's nothing but violence and death walking in. The impropriety of the settlers and their generations after that brought death with them, folks. That's all that's coming from this. Again, how do you want to repair it? You want to repair it? Everybody about repairing the thing? You start allowing folks to share in the massive revenues that we all help generate. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. That's coming from a statement from the football player in Duke. And they're not wrong. They're not wrong. You got, it's an absorbent amount of money. These folks are making money, and that you know, see. Can Uncle KJ be all right with y'all for a minute? If the sports players get it, what does that open the press? See, I said if they do it to you one way and do it to you another way, what happens the other way? And this is why everybody flips out about it when they money on the line. Unfortunately, now again, you're making a whole lot, worried about what the folks making very little are going to make. See, again, because when you're talking about greed, that's where it throws it out of balance. And again, there would still be checks and balances for this just the same way. That's the part of the whole legal thing. The players need to benefit, but of course that thing wouldn't go higher than it's supposed to, no different than it shouldn't go any higher for the schools. See, we're talking about an equal playing anyway. There are hundreds of people, the statement goes on to read, there are hundreds of people involved in NCAA sports, but the only ones who cannot be paid are the athletes. We hadn't seen this come up. And see, don't be mad at sports players when they're getting paid. See, be mad at the fact that none of us have stood up for our pay. That's what you should be mad. The same thing with adults with kids. Stop being mad that kids don't want to work. Be mad you took the scraps and didn't stand up for you to get more money. How about that? The fact that you didn't stand up to get more money that affects your family on the back end, be mad at that. And this is what people do. This is what we all do. We all do that. We fail, then it's no different than Adam and Eve thing. We fail, and then we go find the next thing to go blaming. Instead of taking the sole responsibility to ourselves, I screwed it up. Take the soul-crushing gravity of the fact that you screwed up. And then do the things necessary to live a better life. No, but instead of doing that, what you would do is say, the woman you gave me, these lazy kids, these wetback immigrants, all that garbage birthed from greed. Time to change it, folks. I understand y'all want to call it woke. You say whatever you want to about it. Woke garbage, whatever you want to call it. We're talking about edicts from the high heavens above. That is the internal thing connecting all humans to share life together. So that's what I got for y'all today, folks. Let's band together. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep doing this thing. And as always, look to find the beauty in a different view. Hey guys, I just wanted to get on real quick. My post commentary comments, I guess we'll say it that way. Just because I always like to, again, like I said, I'm always listening. I'm always, it's not just you guys hearing me. And I like to lay a lot of the groundwork. Sometimes people hear me explain. Maybe I'm over explaining myself, but the train's leaving the tracks, folks. Because again, this is something that's on my heart here. We're going to do this for various topics. Again, like I said, for as long as we can, because it's necessary. People need knowledge that will help set them free. Again, I'm going to try not to get too much in this, but I am going to bring something to light here that I was talking about in that episode. The idea of the study part of it, the importance of studying. When you read the rest of that verse, because I didn't finish it, so I like finishing a thought. I was looking at it, and I just wanted to add this in. This one goes out to a lot of folks who think God is not a God of social justice. So again, we're talking about different views. This is the name of the podcast. This is what I believe in. So here's one. That God is very much so, because this is the idea, right? And one thing that's used to control you is what you believe. And again, because you have an organized structure, aka religion, of what you believe, here comes all of the fun. And one of them is this idea here where God cares how horrible this is to say this about your creator. If God took the time to make you, do not think God is that cold that God does not care. For who needs to hear this, I am going to say it real serious and plain. However you believe, whatever you believe, I want you to know that there is a serious level of care when it comes from the creator to you. To us all. Again, the idea where, if the death and destruction wasn't there, again, the idea is not that part. It's to be holding the humans accountable to stop doing the garbage they're doing to each other. That's where it's at, folks. To kind of rob some of these terms here from like the 60s and 70s, or maybe even before that's where it's at. That's where it's at. And another one that I always keep using on the podcast, at the end of the day, folks, that's where it's at. We have to be holding each other accountable for. Again, we've been given all the tools. We have seen the movies. We've seen how it goes down. We want to improve this thing. And again, God kind of leaves little tidbits behind it. That's why a lot of these things kind of get removed out of the Bible when they make certain of these translations and they've messed around with things. So 2 Timothy, we were in chapter 2. And down, I want to say it was like 14, 15, 16. Of course, 15 is the one you hear me reference a lot. I probably will reference it a lot because it's just a real thing. You're supposed to study a lot of the stuff. But at the end of it, toward the end of it there, so that you're approved unto God. Now check out this part. This is why I say the social justice part comes in. A workman, where now, of course, right? We're talking about what religion will do. Oh, it's talking about workers of the faith, and you're on the ministry field, or you're see, the logic's just not, the God-given logic's just not kicking in. You'll get in that religious thing, and you'll miss it. You'll miss it because much of it sometimes is designed to lull you to sleep. It's for real. Maybe knowingly or unknowingly. I do not. Again, we are told to figure out our salvation with fear and trembling. I would never do that. But at the end of the day, you just got to call the light to stuff when you see it. When it's talking about workmen there, that workman, that workman is just not some, almost like, fairy garden gnome, guys. That's not like you work. You were a worker. A worker that is steady. Whatever it is you do in life that you work toward, it doesn't matter what it is. In the context of this biblical verse, it's talking about making sure whatever you do profits you. That strive, that word's almost like a struggle. Because again, there's other things there where it talks about doing stuff that you wouldn't want to do, and then and doing the stuff that you shouldn't do, and all that. So you almost there's almost sometimes where a little bit of a fight. The more practice you have at it, the easier it can become sometimes. But and again, we're just talking about things. This kind of bleeds in a little bit with the Halloween episode. We're talking about that world of which people know little about. At the end of the day, to getting yourself to it's discipline. It's discipline. Responsibility is how y'all heard me say it. Responsibility with the abilities you've been given. Fight against folks that would have you not speak out for what is your profit. Because as you continue to study, this is breaking down the words in these verses here. As you continue to study, you show yourself in the field in which you work in before God and everyone else. Because that's what it's leading off with. Approved unto God. So before God and everyone else, because again, the things that we do in life mean something. Again, whether you want insert Shiva, whatever it is you believe. Hey, again, no gods before me, y'all. Hey, I'm just saying, there's a connecting thing here that should be acknowledged. And here it is. Here it is. Here it is, plain as day. Are there distinctions in the different things we believe? Yes, but there is truth. There is truth. There is truth here. And at the end of the day, that's what it is. You present yourself before the high council, before God above. That you know that you're trying. You're trying to learn about what you're talking about, what means something, because this life means something. It's what's been given to said creation to live and have dominion over and take care of. It turned from one little garden, if you will, if you want to look at Eden that way, to the whole planet. We have a responsibility. That's why everybody they start turning up their nose to the green thing and all. We have a responsibility for continuously turning this earth over into itself, back to us. It's a circle of life, folks. That's for real. And I get it. When greed is involved, when the selfishness thing is turned all the way up to 10, that stuff goes out the door. But it is not out of the fabric of reality. It's still the reverberating effect of not doing so will still hurt you if you don't pay attention to it. Because it's the design of the great designer. You're not getting past that. So to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that need not be ashamed, Now, this is where it gets even funkier in the next verse, right? Because then it goes to saying the following: shun profane and vain babbling. So, we're talking about a word. This is all in conjunction, these verses, talking about around the idea of upholding truth, and the truth and justice you're upholding affects work people. God is a God of social justice, folks. When it comes to workers' rights, guess who's one of the champions on the top of that line? Cheering us on. So when the Bible talks about that great cloud of witnesses cheering us on, man. Oh, we got the cheerleader of cheerleaders, folks. But you gotta look at things a little bit different. Gotta look at things a little bit different here. See, there's this. You gotta stare at the subject a little differently than what you've been told, or you'll never see it. Nobody would ever see something like that looking at the normal thing. You know, you got to work hard, and and don't talk back, and it's not working that way. Works for them that way, but it ain't working for nobody else that way. The word vain there is dealing where it's all about that person. Whatever they're saying just always keeps coming back to them. Won't got really too much to do with anybody else. Maybe a little something to somebody else, but the bulk majority of people don't profit. The bulk majority of people normally profit is just the ones that's talking about them getting something, not you. And they use you as a stepping stone so they can get something. And that happens all different ways, all different types. We got the brain, we got the hound nose, if you will, to sniff it out. We know it. You can smell the mess, as they say, from a mile away. So it's just time that we tap into these things we've been given here. Vain babblings is literally, again, the profane is dealing with that word there, profane, shun, pushing it away out of your mind. Come away from the status quo. All this other stuff and everything you hear people telling you, come away from it. Come away. So, and you can do it respectfully. You ain't got to be nuts. You ain't got to, it ain't about all that. The idea is to be doing stuff and speaking words towards your profit. Wholesome conversation is another one of those things the Bible talks about. Again, this thing is supposed to be, at the end of the day, you might have detractors, but at the very least, we still going in the right direction, you see. And in this case, we're talking about unity. And if you can have unity inside humanity through separation, then so be it. But at the end of the day, when we come together, there's still a level of respect. There's a level of respect for people's cultures, right? For people's sexuality and how they express themselves sexually. A level of respect for people's body types. So now we're getting into sexism now. For people's learning processes, because everybody comprehends differently. It's a shame that things are based on literacy the way they are, especially in such a language that is such garbage when it comes to how it expresses itself to continuously make sure it's stealing from someone else. That's the basis of the English language, folks. There's no other way of looking at it. It's good on these islands and stuff where they brought slaves that they spoke a language different than their captor. There's some power into that. No wonder people don't really like reggae. It's okay, though. It's to each their own, man. To each their own. Because wrapped up in all that is just what a person's preference is as well. I understand that. We're talking to the part that has nothing to do with that, though. These are those areas of life, folks. When we get a hold of them and come together with it, there is new, and they know it. See, that's why they're working hard to throw folks off the trail. There is no stopping those. Bible even talked about it with the Tower of Babel. There's no stopping, folks, when you get your mind single focused on something. Without a vision, the people perish. People perish for rejecting knowledge. This is just a game, folks. So just wanted to stop on for that for a little bit. I hope y'all enjoyed the episode. We will talk to you soon. I'm not gonna end with the tagline. We will talk to you guys soon. Have a good day.